I got a French horn here. When I'm teaching my class, when I'm doing clinics, French horn is the absolute worst thing to demonstrate because there are so many little fine details, and even if you were looking over my shoulder right now, it's still really hard to see because my hands are in the way constantly. So I'm going to go through complete disassembly, stringing and reassembly of this horn, but then I'll probably make a couple other videos to show some close-up details from other angles. So don't worry about it too much if you can't really see what I'm doing. I'll do my best to show you and explain as I go through it here. So here we go. So I've got a single horn here. I would want to demonstrate on a double horn, but all the locker rooms are locked up in Crane right now, so actually kind of lucky that I had the single horn in my shop at the time that happened. So that's all we've got. So probably what you'll see in a school band room. You're going to have just 3 standard slides and then usually just 1 tuning slide. You might have 2 tuning slides on the back, but single horn will usually only have 1. If it was a double horn, these 3 slides here would all have another row of slides behind them there, and then you would have another slide for the trigger, and then you might have 2, 3, maybe even 4 slides on the back. But this is a simple one though, so just 4 slides, no more complicated than the trumpet slides. So I'm going to take all these out. Now 1 and 3 can be a little bit tricky. I didn't mean tricky to get out, I meant tricky to keep track of. There we go. But as you can see, it can be tricky to get out too. But so they're both kind of loopy, curly slide, and you could be like, oh wait, shoot, which way did I have these? So just always remember the 3rd slide is going to be longer than the 1st slide. So you're going to have more total tubing for number 3 than you are for the 1st slide. Alright, next thing I want to unstring it. The one's already unstrung for me, so that's good. Strings are just held on with screws. I'll try to show you this close up. So there's usually going to be screws holding on the string. So you've got that one right there that's actually on the key arm itself. So you're going to want to undo that one, and then you're going to want to undo this one too. It's on the stop arm. For unstringing, you don't need to do the big one though. So I am going to end up undoing the big one. That's what retains the valve in the casing. But if you're just restringing, just remember the biggest screw, that's the one you don't need to worry about. You can just leave that alone. I'm going to loosen the screws, but I'm not even going to bother taking them all the way out. Oh, that one fell out on its own. Easy enough to put back in. Alright, so all the strings are off there. Now I want to get the valves out. How on earth do you get the valves out of here? A lot of French horn players don't even know how to do this. You're going to want to take the caps off. Now, for the valves to come out, we do have to take that big screw out. So you can see I'm removing the big screw, so I've taken the big screw out of the first two there, and now I'm about to just take that last big screw out. The retaining screw is its official name. Okay, and so these valves are ready to come out. Well, they're going to need a little bit of help to come out. So this very crude but effective tool here, that is just a piece of Delrin, which is the same stuff that we made our flute head joint cork tools out of. I've just crudely ground that down on a bench grinder, and it works great. It's actually going to go right where the screw used to be. So I'm going to put the pointy part in right where the retaining screw was, and I'm just going to tap it with my rawhide mallet. And there we go. And you should have two things fall out the back. You've got the rotor, and then you've got the bearing. The bearing is the part that sits right there. And when you were in French horn tech, that's probably the part you saw when you took the cap off, and you probably dropped some oil in there when you needed to lubricate it. And then on the other side, that's called the stop arm. That's the part that formerly had the retaining screw going in it, and that's where I put the driving tool through there. Alright, so I've got the bearing came out, but the rotor doesn't want to go. That happens sometimes. There's a few things you can do. You can go to something more heavy duty. So this tool works exactly the same way as that one that I ground down, only it's brass. So you're going to get a lot more force when you hit the valve, but it's really not a big deal because the valve is also made of brass, and it's made from probably a thicker piece of brass than this. So you could actually hit it pretty hard, metal on metal, with this before you damaged anything. So that's the first thing I'm going to try. There we go, got it. So that is about as far as you would need to ever break down a French horn, probably. You can go further if you want. If you wanted the stop arms off for some reason. Or I'm sorry, not the stop arms. We already took the stop arms off. If we wanted the stop plates off for some reason. So these, it's where the bumpers go. They're just held on with two little screws. It's incredibly easy to take these off. And And so you can see I took the plate off of this one. So if you want to take those off, there's no reason you couldn't do that. Maybe you were replacing all the bumpers and you just thought it would be, you had it broken down this far, just figured it'd be quicker to install the new bumpers if you could get the plate off. Hey, nothing wrong with that. So, yeah, that's called the stop plate or bumper plate, some people call it, or even cork plate, because the bumpers used to usually be made of cork, so some people will even call that the cork plate, even if there's no cork in it. But, yep, so that's how to break down the French horn.